So, on the heels of John Schneider basically blowing up what was left of a career, and on the heels of Colorado Supreme Court kicking Trump off the ballot, we have right wingers losing their shit. So let's just get right to the article. Well, I should say more right wingers losing their shit. John Schneider has proven himself to be one of those. I knew he was a Republican, but I didn't know he was absolutely out of his fucking mind. I think I can start swearing. Oh, maybe not. Oh well. So, violent online rhetoric heats up after Colorado ballot ruling on Trump. For those who don't know, well, maybe it'll mention it in the article, so we'll get to that. Violent rhetoric is up in some online spaces where supporters of former President Donald Trump are reacting to news that he's ineligible to appear on Colorado's primary ballot. Ugh. Personal information, including phone numbers and addresses of the Colorado Supreme Court justices who ruled against Trump, are circulating on some far-right platforms. So too are calls for his base to take up arms. Both are bone-chilling. They are doing their jobs. I'm sorry that you do not like that he is not on the ballot, but you cannot be an insurrectionist and be on the ballot. It is in the Constitution. You know, the thing that you guys claim you care about? Yeah, it's in there. So, they're not the ones who ruled on that. The Constitution did. So, either you're for the Constitution or you're not. And really, taking up arms? Really, that's necessary? I've got really bad news for you guys. He wasn't going to win Colorado. Even if he won it in the primaries, he wasn't going to win it in the general. So, take up arms about what? I really wonder if... Now, I knew they had a tenuous grip on reality, but I thought they had a modicum of a grip. It looks like they've lost all semblance of reality. We saw trending the terms insurrection and civil war really within hours of the Colorado decision, said Daniel Jones, president of the Advanced Democracy, a nonpartisan nonprofit public interest research group based in Washington, D.C. Okay, the irony is so beautiful. Trump got kicked off the ballot for being an insurrectionist. So the solution is to have another insurrection. Exactly how does that work? You guys didn't succeed the first time. You actually are the reason why Trump is in this mess. Well, Trump is the reason, but you guys didn't help him any by, listening to him and mounting an insurrection. What makes you think this time will be better? And a civil war? Well, a lot of people have been thinking that a civil war is going to happen on both sides. But it's not because necessarily that one side or the other is going to ferment it. It could be, both extremes. But yeah, there's been talk about that for a while, which is hella scary. To extremism researchers who monitor online spaces for indications of planned violence, the uptick is not surprising. That might even be scarier. Since Trump left the White House and he has come under greater legal pressure relating to his personal business and the events of the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack, these spikes have become somewhat predictable and more frequent. Well, if you put it that way, yeah. Still disheartening, though. Each incident, each indictment of former President Trump, every negative development that's related to him, every time even something happens with President Biden or the Democratic Party where people think that the Bidens have gotten away with it, has contributed to this environment, where his supporters think that the current government is out to get supporters of Trump, said Catherine Keneally, who heads threat analysis and prevention at the nonprofit Institute for Strategic Dialogue US, which monitors the threat language online, which goes perfectly with what John Schneider did yesterday. I mean, just saying that Biden is treasonous is problematic by itself. Now, he did say in his opinion, so that part would have been fine. But the fact that he suggested a public hanging, yeah. And then he turns around and says, I never said anything. As if, things on the internet don't live forever, and he didn't give people enough time to screenshot it. I mean, come on. Trump has given the absolute worst people and the worst instincts in our society carte blanche to bubble up to the surface and just be absolute dicks. Keneally said the most incendiary posts were found on alt-tech platforms such as Gab, Truth Social, and Patriots.win. But Jones said it was also worth noting that some of the chatter bled onto X, formerly known as Twitter. Well, of course it has. There's no content moderation on there. Elon Musk wants the far-right loonies on that platform. We're seeing the normalization of violent rhetoric, the dehumanization, this idea that democracy is broken, he said. Guess who's breaking it? Want to take a guess? Let me give you a hint. It's not those people who are pounding their chests claiming to be patriots. Not them. They're actually the ones who are breaking democracy. Because, yes, Trump is doing horrible freaking things and saying horrible freaking things that's lending itself to this environment, but he didn't create it. Those people existed. Trump just gave them the green light to be horrible people. That is literally all Trump did. He just gave them permission. It's not that these attitudes did not exist. Both experts say that they have so far not seen anything online to suggest a credible or imminent threat, but they said that in an environment where an increasing proportion of Americans believe violence may be warranted to save the country, vigilance is still needed. As an example, they cited the case of a man who attacked an FBI field office in Cincinnati after the FBI executed a search warrant at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. It just boggles my mind. They act like Trump can do no wrong, his supporters, that he can do no wrong, but yet somehow he needs their help to do things. If this man is as rich and as powerful as you think he is, do you really think he needs you to come to his rescue? But, like I said, John Schneider's one of these people because Jesus Christ. And now he has the Secret Service on his ass, which maybe it's a bit extreme, but listening to all of this, can you blame the Secret Service for jumping on every perceived threat? Because, well, you never know when some nut job is going to, he should be publicly hung. I should go and kill him. Like I said in my John Schneider video, at least when I threaten with violence, it's ridiculous. Like, sort of like what you see on Bugs Bunny. Things that are just completely over the top that would never happen. So, I'm not advocating violence. I'm just trying to be as ridiculous as possible. Proving that I do not like someone, but not that I want them, well, let's just say I wouldn't cry. I mean, he's old. He could drop dead from natural causes. I wouldn't cry, but I wouldn't say I would be happy, but I certainly wouldn't feel sad either. All right. And even separate from the coroner's concern over violence, I can read, there is also growing alarm that the normalization of threats, harassment, and vitriolic attacks may be eroding American democracy. You know, these people who are screaming that Colorado Supreme Court is being anti-democratic, I guess if you want to be technical, then yes, they are anti-democratic. Well, that provision of the Constitution is anti-democratic, but it's sort of like the same people who whine when those who are um, pro-tolerance, they whine when their intolerance isn't tolerated. And they're like, oh, you're a hypocrite. No, if we allow intolerance, it's going to take over. And then there will be no tolerance. So, same thing here. Technically, probably true. But if we allow insurrectionists to have this kind of power, do you really, really think that democracy is going to survive? No, of course it's not. You're going to have a dictator. Because yes, Trump said that he would only be a dictator on day one and only when it comes to drilling and the border. But, come on. Do we really believe him? I mean, those who actually think that that's all he wants and that it'll be fine because executive orders exist or something. No, that isn't how this works. And even executive orders, you can't just, at least I don't think you can issue them willy-nilly. Besides, once the next guy is in power, those executive orders go bye-bye. One of the goals of this type of inciting rhetoric or encouraging or even allowing dangerous speech to flourish is that you can make people feel less comfortable participating in day-to-day democracy, says Shannon Hillner, executive director of the Bridging Divides Initiative at Princeton University. The proliferation of violent rhetoric like this and the unwillingness of leaders to condemn it can create that chilling effect. Of course they're not condemning it. This is what they want. Well, it's either people who actually want this to happen, or it's people who are too scared of Trump and his supporters to speak out against it. Because you've seen what happens when Republicans speak out against their own party and Saint Trump. At the best, they get booted. I mean, I remember Adam Kinzinger saying that, he and his family were the subject of violent threats because he dared to be on the committee that, investigated January 6th. Because nothing says that Trump had nothing to do with January 6th than a Republican looking into it. Because if it's what they initially said, that it was, fake Trump supporters and Antifa and whatever, then there should be no problem investigating it, right? So anyway, that is the end of that article. So yeah, that's very, this is just so disheartening. Knowing that there are people out there who have been at best bamboozled into thinking that their democracy is at risk because they believe what Fox News or Breitbart or whatever, Newsmax, whatever those dipsy doodles say. But it's entirely another thing when there are people who are waiting for this. They were waiting for this to happen so they would have an excuse to attack the government. So, yeah, none of it is good. I feel bad for those who got bamboozled, but most of those people at this point have realized that they got bamboozled. If you're still pro-Trump at this point, there's no saving you. You were a terrible person to begin with, and you were just, as I said, you were given the green light to be this terrible person. Not that you got bamboozled, because at this point, you should have stepped out of it. And if you haven't, well then, you're basically saying, yeah, this is the person I want to be. I want to be a piece of crap. So anyway, with that, I think I rambled on long enough, and I will see you guys in the next video.